Let me tell you about the day our entire civilization collectively held its breath. I am Vrath-Sonn, Senior Recorder of the Galactic Conclave, 3rd tier, officially ranked as irrelevant enough to survive most political disasters. For 400 years, my duty has been to document every summit, every treaty, every shouting match between species that conveniently forget sound travels in pressurized chambers. I have seen warlords cry. I have seen pacifists throw furniture. I once witnessed the drunken ambassador consume a live translator, not as an act of aggression, but what he later described as a nervous habit. I have seen many things. Nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the human. It began on the 42nd cycle of the Grand Summit at Vhorra Station, the largest diplomatic platform in the known systems. 41 species were represented, 41 delegations. Each arrived with armed escorts, energy shields, personal bodyguards, threat analysts, and, in the case of the Mori collective, a small moon converted into a warship just to park nearby. Standard protocol. Then the human ship docked. One ship, not a fleet, not even a respectable cruiser. According to our scans, it could seat 12 beings, comfortably, provided they liked each other. The observation deck fell silent. High Chancellor Obeth-Vraal, a Scari of impressive mass and even more impressive self-importance, leaned toward me and muttered, "Is this a joke? Did they send a food delivery vessel?" I informed him I genuinely did not know. The airlock opened. Out walked one human. No guards. No weapon signatures. No shielding technology. No armor. Not even the subtle diplomatic undersuits the pellucid delegation wore while pretending they wore none. Just a human, dressed in what they call formal attire, which appears to consist of wrapping oneself in a carefully measured rectangle of fabric and declaring the task complete. Remarkable. His name, according to the dossier delivered 12 hours prior, and largely ignored, was Daven Mori. 43 Earth years old. Former linguist. Former conflict mediator. Former crisis negotiator. A profession that apparently involves entering rooms filled with furious individuals and leaving with them only slightly less furious. He had a lean face, dark eyes that moved across the chamber the way water finds fractures in stone, and an expression best described as mildly entertained by all of you. He walked to the center of the summit floor. 41 delegations stared. The Mori representatives, 14 natural eyes for prosthetic, used all 18. Obeth-Vraal, general of the Scari military bloc, rested one armored hand on his weapon holster. Not drawing, just resting, the way predators rest before they stop resting. Daven Mori surveyed the room. He smiled. "Good morning," he said. The translation module rendered it into Galactic Common as favorable rotation of primary star greeting. The sentiment survived the translation. No one responded. He did not seem troubled. Very slowly, the kind of slow that suggests one is fully aware of how many weapons are currently aimed at them. He reached into his jacket. He withdrew a small flat object. "I brought something," he said. "A document. It outlines everything humanity is prepared to offer the Conclave. Trade routes, research access, biological data, manufacturing capacity. Everything." Zivaan-Pell, lead diplomat of the pellucid, spoke first. Her voice carried the edge of something recently sharpened. "You come alone, unarmed, with a document. You understand what this summit represents." "I do," Daven replied. "You understand," she continued carefully, as one explains gravity to someone standing on a roof, "that you have no leverage, no threat, no deterrent, nothing protecting you or your species from any decision made in this chamber." Daven Mori nodded. He placed the document on the central table. "That is correct," he said pleasantly. "We have nothing protecting us." He sat, crossed one leg over the other, which is precisely, he continued, that same faintly amused expression intact. "Why every species in this room is currently trying to determine what we know that you do not." The chamber went silent. Not polite silence. Not diplomatic silence. Predatory silence. Obeth-Vraal slowly removed his hand from his holster. In 400 years of recording, I have developed what I consider a professional immunity to tension. I sit in rooms where civilizations argue over the ownership of entire star systems and feel nothing but mild administrative fatigue. It is a skill. It requires practice. It requires discipline. I was gripping my recorder so tightly that the casing cracked. No one spoke for 90 full seconds. I know because I was counting. When 18 more coffee eyes fix on a single target and do not blink, you count seconds. It gives your mind something to do other than process fear. Mori waited. He did not fidget. He did not glance around nervously. He looked like a man seated in a garden, calmly waiting for tea he was certain would arrive. It was Vrath-Sonn, the ancient Drelkin elder, who finally broke the silence. Vrath-Sonn had attended 40 summits before this one. His voice sounded like boulders grinding against one another. "You are implying," he said, "that humanity possesses information. Information significant enough that your lack of visible protection is itself the protection." "I'm not implying anything," Daven replied. "I'm sitting here. You are all implying things. I find that very interesting." High Chancellor Obeth-Vraal rose to his full height. When a scari of his mass stands, the atmosphere processors automatically compensate. He pointed one scaled finger at the human. "What do you know?" Daven looked up at him. "Many things. What specifically concerns you?" Obeth-Vraal's jaw tightened. "Do not play word games with me, human." "I'm not playing anything," Daven said calmly. "You asked a broad question. I gave an honest answer. If you require a precise answer, ask a precise question. That is simply how questions function." I saw Vrath-Sonn, the scary general, slowly turn toward his chancellor. It was the look of a military mind recalculating. I had seen that expression before, but only when a commander realized an opponent had executed something clever, never in response to a sentence about grammar. Zivaan-Pell leaned forward. The Pellucid are notoriously difficult to read. Their expressions evolved for an atmosphere denser than ours. What appears to be rage is often mild dehydration. Even so, I could see she was adjusting her assessment. "Your species," she said carefully, "has been space-capable for less than 300 years. You have no recorded military engagements with any conclave member, no territorial disputes, no senior allies." She paused. "By every measurable standard, you are the smallest power in this chamber." "Yes," Daven agreed. "So what?" she asked, her tone lowering into something almost respectful. "Are you doing here?" Daven uncrossed his leg and leaned forward, placing both hands flat on the table beside the untouched document. No one had moved it. Everyone had been staring at it as one stares at an object that might be a gift or a trap, and cannot determine which is worse. 3 years ago, he said, humanity began quietly mapping communication routes between every delegation represented here. Not military routes, not trade corridors, communication routes. He paused. The private ones, the back-channel exchanges that never appear in official conclave records. The room shifted. "We are very good at listening," Daven continued. "Multiple species have described us as unsettlingly good at it. We chose to take that as a compliment." The silence that followed was different. The first silence had been confusion. This silence was arithmetic. 41 delegations calculating what they had said in confidence over the last 3 years, and whether any of it was catastrophic. Vrath-Sonn made a sound like a mountainside settling. "You are saying you possess leverage." "No," Daven said evenly. "I'm saying we possess information. Leverage implies intent to threaten. We have no such intent." He tapped the document lightly. "Every piece of data we gathered has been compiled into a sealed archive. That archive will be destroyed, unread by any government. The moment this conclave ratifies humanity's membership and establishes a mutual non-interference treaty." He slid the document slightly forward. "These are the terms. They are generous. We did not write them to win. We wrote them to last." Obeth-Vraal sat down slowly. "You arrived with no weapons, no army, and no allies," he said quietly. "And yet you are the most dangerous being in this room." Daven picked up the document and pushed it fully across the table. "We prefer the word," he said softly, prepared. I set down my cracked recorder. In 4 centuries, I had documented empires rising, fleets collapsing, stars dying, politically speaking. I had recorded history with steady detachment. I picked up a fresh recorder. Some stories deserve precision. That was the day the galaxy realized humanity did not arrive to conquer. Humanity arrived already knowing everything.